What are you going to feel like if you don't win?
Well, hungover, right, is the first thing. And then the next thing, I'm on a plane going to Brazil with my boyfriend for 2 weeks. So I don't think I'll really give a f*** by that point.
Now concentrate on some things low down on what everyone is mixing them.
Dancer one, so it's brilliant for me to. Well, British people abroad have seen them, but not.
Yeah.
Not.
I mean, that's what happens a lot with the Tony Prizes. It's quite often the stuff is shown abroad before it gets here because they tend to be more interested in the Brits.
There isn't that many places to show in Britain, unfortunately. For certain artists at a certain level, there aren't enough museums, there aren't enough public contemporary art spaces. So if you have a show in London, you're probably going to have to wait 2 or 3 years, more than that, 4 years before you'll be invited to have another one. And then the institution has to be bigger than the last one. So, and of course, there isn't anywhere, it doesn't happen. But now we've got the Tate Modern opening, hopefully that will change. So,
one hopes.
Yeah. So where do you want to start, Nick?
Well, let's start here.
Yeah, just carry on.
Okay.
All right. yeah, we could have just been naturally, yeah.
She's made up already.
Yeah, it's all done.
Right.
Everything's hunky-dory.
Okay.
Go for it.
I mean, this is obvious, isn't it, in a sense, this piece?
Well, I don't know. It depends. To some people, they wouldn't think it was obvious enough to be art. So, but yeah, the fact that it's my bed.
It is literally your
It
bed.
is. Well, the bed, the base isn't. That's the plinth, right? But the mattress is mine, the sheets are mine, the debris is mine, and everything. And I've kind of slightly exaggerated to try and get the point over. It's like a mixture between things. It's either like you finding someone who's maybe been dead for 3 weeks and no one knew they were there. It's that absolute loneliness. The lover left them and they just laid there till they died. There's that feeling, but also it's a kind of scene of some debauched, kind of frenzied, wild, fantastic sex. And that's why the pillow split. It was so hard the pillow just got torn in two. So people can read it different ways. I think there's different interpretations.
But it is literally your bed.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's kind of slightly embarrassing because of all the stuff. And the people I'm really embarrassed for is my family, It's okay, like complete strangers looking at stuff, viewing it like art, but the fact people who are close to me find it somewhat repugnant and repulsive. But then art can be like that. People can be like that. So, but I think from a distance it looks very beautiful, like something like from some 17th century boudoir or something. And it's only when you get close up it becomes incredibly sordid and torrid.
Presumably there'll be some relatives coming to this who won't have seen this before.
There'll be a lot of relatives coming to see this. There's relatives coming that have never seen my art before. They just read it. Mind you, what you read about me in the newspapers is actually a lot more worse and detrimental than my art. So hopefully I'll be able to smooth that one over.
The particular relatives you're worried about, and it's always, it's your right, but it's always sometimes quite difficult when you show it to those that you haven't seen.
Yeah, but the relatives that I haven't seen, they're more than aware of what I do. So they wouldn't be coming if they weren't celebrating with me. I don't think any of my relatives are coming to put me down, So tomorrow's going to be a celebration, definitely here, regardless of what they think of the art.
Can I just ask some basic questions? We did a piece when the shortlist came out in July. I think you might have seen it on Channel 4 News.
Oh yeah, with my bottom.
I think your boyfriend woke you up or something.
Yeah, I had a terrible hangover and I'd sort of been asleep all day kind of thing. And I said, I bet it's going to be on the 7 o'clock news. I bet. And I was sound asleep and Matt just woke me up and said, Trace, look at this. And then I just saw my backside on the screen and I was about this far away from it. And I said, they can't do that. They can't show my bum on telly. And then it was a full frontal nude. I said, they can't do that. And then as I said it, I realised you were doing it. And I thought, this is brilliant. This is really great. Like a naked woman on the 7 o'clock news in the name of art. And I thought, fantastic, groundbreaking. So I got through that initial embarrassment. But I was pleased. It was all right.
it's a question I ask anyone who's ever nominated for the Turner. But how important it was for you to be nominated? How did you feel that day when you were nominated?
Well, I didn't know about it until 3 days afterwards, because I just happened that week not to have picked my phone up on my messages. I was just busy or whatever. And then by the time I did pick them up, it was like imperative. They sort of gave me like a day to say yes, which I couldn't do. So then I had to leave it like 24 hours, and it was a difficult decision for me whether to say yes or no.
Why?
Because I've had a really stressful year, and I wondered whether I'd be able to take all the attention and all the fuss and everything. And about a month ago, I had a complete blowout. I couldn't take it. So it's a lot I'm under a lot of pressure from media anyway as an artist. So with the Turner Prize, everything just becomes magnified. And for some artists, that's fantastic to have that media exposure. For me, though, it can do the opposite thing. It can make people sick of me and sick of my art. And I didn't know whether I'm ready for that quite yet, for that early retirement. So.
Why has it been a bad year?
No, last year was. Right. This year's been a great year, yeah. So I wanted it to stay good as well. I didn't want it to get bad. So with being nominated, you also have to accept that you're not necessarily going to win. So that's kind of not necessarily a good thing, is it?
No, but it's difficult. I've been to Turner Prize, the dinner, as you have.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
And you see losers, whatever they say, they would like to have won.
They're liars. They're absolute, I'm trying not to swear, but they're absolute liars, And I've practiced this thing where you just sort of clap. And my mum said that you're not going to invite your father, are you? And I said, why? She said, because if you win, he'll jump up and say, my baby, my baby. And I said, well, that's much better than if I lose. My mum's just going to sort of absolutely have a breakdown in tears or whatever. Because it actually means more to other people that have invested so much into you than it does yourself. For yourself, you've done pretty well to get this far anyway, to be honest. But it's how other people feel, you have to take that on too. But a good party will sort it all out anyway. So.
Is 20 grand enough for first prize?
No, definitely not. Just goes to show I'm not doing it for the money. It's not. It should be 100. And then from that 100, at least 40, you should be expected to give to a charity that works with arts, whether it's working at hostels for the homeless, whether it's working in hospices for people dying, whether it's for, UNICEF or whatever. Or maybe as an artist, you make an art project where that is sold and all the money goes to like a HIV charity or whatever, or AIDS charity. I think it should be 100 grand, and some of the money should be directed towards arts charities in some way.
Okay. The first piece I ever saw of you was a sensation, which was the tent.
Mm. You were late then, weren't you?
I was late.
Yeah, like Charles Saatchi, he was late too, yeah.
You happy with Charles Saatchi owning it?
No, not at all. He bought it on the secondary market. And I think that's wrong, to buy art on the secondary market and exploit artists in that way. But on the other hand, I did get world publicity from our tent being in his show. 3,000 people went to it, 300,000 people went to it, so it's good exposure for British art. So that's not what I'm against, it's more like the tactics and the way in which he bought it. So.
Do you know if he's got anything else of yours?
No, and no, not unless he's bought it really secretly. And then I don't think, I don't think my art's really his cup of tea anyway, even though he has the tent. So I think he likes the tent, but I couldn't really imagine this in his collection, could you?
Maybe not.
No.
He buys a lot, though. He buys everything.
Not from me, he doesn't.
You make a point of making sure he doesn't.
No, it's just other people buy it before he's seen it. He's a bit slow as far as I'm concerned on my work.
Have you met him?
Yeah.
You like him?
I just said hello to him. We didn't sit down and talk politics, if that's what you mean.
Should we talk? There's the other piece that's got me here.
Yeah.
The other side as well. The other side, the Tracey Emin side.
The other side of Nick.
Okay.
The inside, yeah. You mean this piece over here?
Yeah. So tell me about it, first of all.
Well, this is called My Uncle Colin. And Colin, being my mum's brother, he died in a tragic car crash in 1982. And it kind of shocked our family so much. It's my mum's youngest son. And out of all the people in my family now, if he was still alive, he would have gone to all my exhibitions, because he was very poetic, very artistic, and quite free-spirited, and he believed in the afterlife and all that, a very romantic kind of character. So for him to die so young, it was quite awful. I mean, it's awful for anyone, but it had a very bad effect on our family. And the objects, this is a newspaper, a local newspaper with a picture of the car. This is the cigarette packet that he was actually holding at the time of the crash. This is a small seagull, because he used to really love seagulls. This is him watching the seagulls from the cliff.
Is this his car?
No, this is the first car he ever had. So I sort of put that up because I think it makes him look hip and good and everything. It also makes him look like you imagine this person's definitely still alive, I think, from that photo. They have aspirations. So, and this is a letter which I wrote to him, but after his death.
How old were you when he died?
I was about 17 or 18, I think, 17.
And it hit hard at the time.
Yeah, because my mum believes that when you're dead, so it's kind of quite awful for her to go through that. And my nan, my grandmother, who's also dead now, it was her second son who had died. And she said that there's something, losing your husband is one thing, losing your parents is another, but to lose your child, that pain can never be, explained. And so there was a grieving of my grandmother and my mum and everyone. So, and I never had time to grieve, actually. So then, by the time I made this work, years later, it was a nice thing for me to do in like his memory or whatever. So he's never forgotten.
So it's a memorial almost.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's great referring to this piece of work as Uncle Colin. So it's like we're talking about Uncle Colin all the time, even though we're not necessarily talking about the person who's died. It's like he is still alive.
How important does the video work for you?
Oh, the film work and stuff like that, really important. It's the thing that I get most immediate kicks from, It's the thing that I'm actually probably most successful at in some ways.
Why did you say that?
Because I like writing. So I write a script, I write words, I direct it. I make hundreds of drawings that aren't necessarily good, right? Some are good, some of them aren't, but I draw very, very quickly, almost like in a filmatic kind of way. So for me to use a film camera is a good thing. It's a fluid medium for me. So.
Is it easy to write? I've just seen some of them, I haven't seen all of them, but they're clearly mostly autobiographical, if not all autobiographical.
Yeah. So, but now I'm writing a book. That's my next big project. I'm directing a screenplay for television, and also I'm writing a novel. So, it's great. It's brilliant. It's just my art just moving in the medium in which actually I'm probably better with. It causes me less pain anyway. So, because this kind of thing takes months and months to make. So you might have a really brilliant idea, and then it takes you 4 months to execute it. And by that time, it's like really, really exhausting and draining.
Because you literally physically have to do it.
Yeah. But I have assistants now that help me. But even so, it still takes a long time. So I don't get the kick out of it like because it's not immediate. Unlike the drawings, which can take 60 seconds, 30 seconds to do. So even if they're bad, it doesn't really matter because
Did you pick the good ones then for this?
No, I didn't. No. That's an obvious thing to ask, but you can see that I didn't. You can see that some are very good and some aren't. Some are interesting, some aren't. Some are puzzling, they all have a different quality.
And how do you do them? Because it's not immediately clear. They're more, you could almost, some layman might just say, that's just a scribble.
Yeah, we'll tell them to go to life drawing classes for 2 years, every Wednesday and Monday evening, and spend 4 hours a week learning to draw for 2 weeks, learning to draw for 2 years. And then do extensive drawing courses or whatever, and then have the confidence to carry on doing it, whether people say you're good or bad. I've invested a lot of time in learning to draw, and because of that, it means that I can draw however I want now. You and no one can tell me that I can't draw in that way, because it's up to me.
But how do you actually make those? There's the prints, aren't there?
Yeah, I have a sheet of glass which I have ink on, then I lay the paper on top, and then I draw on the back of the paper. So if you pick the paper up, you can actually see there's 2 drawings, one in positive, one in negative. So, but this is the ink side that I show.
I noticed just actually over here, to the far left, you used, I think it's a review from the Observer, I think.
No, I don't know what it's from, what paper. Yeah, it's the Observer, the Sunday Observer. Well, there were so many newspapers, I can't remember, but I obviously like this one, whatever, I'll save this one. So, yeah, that's my claim to fame. After 17 years of making art, 7 years of going to art college, this is what I'm famous for, being drunk on television. Number 81, apparently, in the best moments of television. So you've got Neil Armstrong at number 1, Tracey Emin at number 81. How many years we had television now?
God knows, over 50 at least.
Yeah. So,
how did you feel about that then?
Then,
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of it until, not the next day, but the day after. And then I didn't believe people. I didn't even know I'd been on telly, nothing.
Well, you didn't remember anything about it much.
Well, I thought I was around someone's house. Because two things. One thing is I know you can't smoke at the Tate, so I couldn't have been at the Tate smoking. That's for sure.
It's been difficult hanging this one.
Oh, what do you mean? No, there was no, what you mean back then? I don't understand.
Two questions. I mean, tell me why you put this as part of the exhibition, first of all.
Because you have to read the text. And if you read the text, you find out what it's like to be drunk and lose your memory. And my mum saying to me, well, it doesn't matter this time, but be careful. No, when I broke my finger, you see, this is me wearing the broken finger splint. And I broke my finger in half in New York. And my mum said to me, well, don't worry this time because it could be a lot worse. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, you might not break your finger, but you could lose your memory. So, you know, and it's about this thing with being constantly drunk, you know, never being sober and not having a very good sense of reality or whatever. And that's what that's about, that piece of work. But you have to read the text of my handwriting to understand it. So.
I haven't had a chance to, be honest.
Yeah, well, maybe you'll come back to the show and have a look. Yeah. So, and this one over here looks really egotistical because as you come in, you see the bed, and then you see, and wow, you really do see this beautiful woman. Right? I think she looks beautiful, but she doesn't look like me. I know that.
She does look a bit like
She looks a bit like me. Well, she should be. It's me, isn't it? Except it's sort of people think this is kind of quite ego, me putting this in. But then also, if you read the text, what was actually happening to me that day and how I ended up looking like that, it's quite incredible. So it's like a lot of my work is about this sort of like major kind of muck-ups in life, try not to swear, and then trying to make something good out of it or trying to turn it around or whatever.
So where's this from originally?
This is from the Times, Sunday Times. I was on the front cover actually, another cover girl situation. But the day that was taken, I was crying. It was a tube strike and I was in the rain, crying my eyes out. And I hadn't eaten for about 4 or 5 days, and I was pretty pathetic and kind of sodden, and in a very, very bad way, physically, mentally, socially, or whatever. Felt very lonely and isolated, and then had to walk into this photography studio and turn it on with this camera, which I did. And then I came out again and carried on being sodden and soaking wet and everything.
Would you agree that a lot, I mean, having seen some of the videos before, which I hadn't seen before, that a lot of your work is very raw? I mean, pretty emotional to watch it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is compared to what people expect art to be, but it's not in comparison to life, is it?
No, it's what life is.
It's what life is, yeah. So I'm not trying to mirror life. I'm just trying to say this is my life, and everyone has a life. But a lot of people don't have the courage to sort of express their emotions. A lot of people have secrets that they shouldn't keep. They're almost like not unimportant, and some people die for carrying a secret with them instead of expressing themselves or feeling free. A lot of people go around feeling suppressed and trapped, and they shouldn't do.
Are you happy with the hang?
Yeah, I am, yeah. There's a picture of there that's very crooked, which I've got to straighten. But they're all crooked, but there's one in particular. Yeah, but I'm really happy with it. That's another good thing about a Turner Prize. Win or lose, it's fantastic to be given the opportunity to work with people at this level at the Tate Gallery. And that's something you think, wow, I'm nowhere, I'm never going down from now on. I'm only going up, you know, this is what I'm used to now. And it's fantastic working with assistants at this level and technicians. And it's just, you know, it's a really beautiful space as well. So. But remember, it's their show, it's the Turner Prize, it's not my show. So.
They made you younger too.
They did make me younger, which I caused a big fuss about last week because I said I'm a mature woman and I don't want my age being knocked down. I worked really hard to get this old, you know, another year older, another year I stayed alive, so it's a big thing for me. So, but I might come in tomorrow with a pen and put a 6.5 next to it or something. So, I don't know, but why not? So.
Just a final question, what are you going to feel like if you don't win?
Well, hungover, right, is the first thing. And then the next thing, I'm on a plane going to Brazil with my boyfriend for 2 weeks. So I don't think I'll really give a by that point. Does that answer it?
Very well, thank you very much.
All right.
Well done.
Cheers. Yeah.
But,
No, you can't. Imagine it at the spirit level. Stop it. There's lots of... Yeah, because that was much of it sort of finished. And then it was kind of, it went just like this. And then we decided that... Oh yeah. No. It's not that much. 99. In 99, we looked at some examples. Basically, my drawing's got a lot worse. This is the thing. So this one is on Thursday, and I can prove it because I've never had that little space monkey until Thursday.
You've got a couple, haven't you?
Yes, I've got him in my bag. I like that. That's an old one. That's from 98.
Well, you've got the monkey itself.
There's
Oh,
the
right.
monkey. Yeah.
Nothing to do with Gagarin.
No. Where's this? Go. Let's look for an old one. Then. Yeah, that scared shit. This would be 97 probably. And
It's a nice texture, isn't it?
it's my own.
Is it?
Yeah. Actually, no. Look, a lot of them. Look, this one's like 98. 98. No, you'd be surprised. They're nearly all 99, Sean. Yeah.
That review is talking about one of Nick's pieces. They're the one now that phrased. I mentioned something using a piece that you did on the top. That's fine.
Can I ask a crude question? What do things go for? Is one allowed to say?
I say something, right? This is really brilliant. I'll say, oh, it's so and so, and then probably try to double this week, whatever. The drawings go for between 1,500 and 4,000, and the neons go for between 8 and 20,000, and the blankets go for around 25,000-30,000, and these pieces go for around 10, something like that. The beds. Do you know what? No one seems to want to buy it. So, yeah, didn't look so good in New York. It looks better here, much better. It looked good, very fantastic in Japan, and it looks very good here. It needs a more monumental space, more classical space to make it look better, I think, believe it or not. Yeah, exactly, yeah. To give it some sort of autonomy or whatever. To make it look more surreal. Yeah. Fine, please.